Hey guys, this is Jason with J-Dog's Garage, and I've got something pretty interesting for us S2000 guys. New product from Blox, the S2000 Timing Chain Tensioner. So we're going to unbox this thing, see what it's all about, compare it to the factory tensioner, which I've already taken off of my car, and then we'll go through the install on this, see all the differences, and hopefully this thing doesn't explode and break my car, because we all know Blox can be super hit or miss on their quality from time to time. They've had some really great products in the past and some really not so great products. So here's to hoping. All right. So in the box here, we've got us a fancy shiny Blox sticker. And so we got a couple of bolts and the tensioner itself. So right out of the box, you can see that this tensioner is quite a bit different design from the factory tensioner. It's made more like a K-series tensioner with the ratcheting gears here. So we can see the ratcheting mechanism here looks a lot like a factory K-series tensioner. And then you can also see there's our little tiny oil feed that sends pressure to the tensioner to actually hold tension on the chain while the engine is running. So if we go over here to the factory tensioner, as we all know, tends to cause us some problems. They wear out. The main problem is this worm gear only works over a very narrow range of extension, if you will. So what I always do when I modify these things is, first thing I'll do is make that oil feed nice and big. You don't really have to worry about making that too big, because the VTEC solenoid actually has an orifice in it that feeds this, so that's going to limit the oil pressure that comes to this in the first place. So then usually I'll take, you'll pull this oil jet out, and that screws in right there where this big hole is. So you'll pull this oil jet out, use something to stick in there and knock this sleeve out. This sleeve is pressed in here. Knock that sleeve out, put a couple of washers underneath of it, and that'll give you, however much space you need if you need to take up some slack in your chain. Pretty simple design. However, like I said, it only works over a very narrow range. So when the chain starts to stretch, you'll get the standard S2000 TCT noise. So adding the spacer in here will 9 times out of 10 fix your TCT noise. But now we've got this fancy thing here with this gear. And so hopefully, I don't want to take this thing apart yet, because I don't want to, put it back together wrong and tear my motor up. So we're just going to put this in as is. I do want to show this. So the mounting flange on the Blox tensioner is much thinner than the mounting flange on the factory tensioner, which is why it comes with the shorter bolts. If you use the factory bolts, grab one of those. The factory bolt is significantly longer, so if you use the factory bolt to hold this in, then you are gonna bottom the bolt out, strip it out, punch a hole in the head, or otherwise do something bad you don't want to do. So I'm gonna get this thing installed, and we'll crank her back up and see if it works. The tensioner, put some light on it. Tensioner is installed. So I'm gonna leave my aftercooler off, just so we can get an idea. I'm gonna crank it up and make sure we don't have any crazy noises. And if you're curious about my turbo kit and everything, I'll be doing a video on that pretty soon here. I've got a couple of upgrades coming for it that we'll document. So here we go. Let's crank this thing up. Alright, so nothing out of the ordinary there, no no crazy noises or anything. It is important to note I did not have any problems with this before I installed this tensioner, so I will be trying to keep an eye out for a local car that has some timing chain tensioner problems, and we'll throw this thing in there and see if that actually alleviates those things. But first impressions, I like it. I do like the ratchet mechanism. I think that's a lot more reliable than the worm gear, but again, only time will tell. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe and like button if you want to see some more S2000 content here in the near future, and have a good day.